Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Beyond the Sewing Room. So as we've got Christmas approaching, I thought I would share something that I made last year. So I have shared it previously, but that will not come up on YouTube now because it's been a while. So I thought I'd pop it back on this channel and give it a little bit of a revival because a lot of you may not have seen it and I thought it was a really fun thing to do. And it was this wreath that I made last year. I made it completely out of scrap fabrics. The only thing I bought was these little bells here. So you can get these from your supermarket, they were really inexpensive. I got them from Asda. And all of these little bits I made myself. And the bow and some beads here, fake holly. And I had it up in my kitchen last year and it really brightened the place up. So it'll be coming out again soon. I've just got it out to show today. I've had it packed away for the year. So I'm going to share the full sew along, how I made it. So inside it's just cardboard, but you can use the inside of an old sweet container if you want in plastic, if you've got something that will cut through plastic. I've just used cardboard for this. And then there's plastic inside it, plastic bags. So recycling those old bags rather than buying extra stuff in. And then just making the bits with all the Christmassy scrap bits I had left from other years. So I'm going to be inserting the sew along in the middle, and then I will come back again at the end and have a little chat with you about a few other things. So let's have a look at that now. So we're on the run up to Christmas and I did say that I'd make a fabric wreath and quite a few people said they were interested in seeing how this was done. So you don't need to buy anything special, so just use anything that you've got lying around at home. So I'm going to show you what I've done in the past because I made one that's not for Christmas. This was a spring one and this wasn't made with fabric. This one was crocheted, but it's just to give you a general idea. So you don't need to go out and buy the special wreath for floristry or the wreath for crafting, which are usually sort of like polystyrene or foam. They can be quite expensive and they are just basically foam or plastic or whatever. So it's a bit of a waste of money really when you can just use cardboard and things you've got. So this is one I've made in the past and this one is crocheted. So inside this one is actually the lid from a sweet tub. So like the sweets you get at Christmas, like roses and celebrations and things like that. So there's a plastic lid and I've cut the centre out. It's quite hard to cut through. Use old scissors or tools maybe to cut this out. I use some old scissors that I don't really use much anymore and I managed to get through it. And then I bound it in sort of old carrier bags before covering it in the crocheted fabric. And then I made all the individual flowers, crocheted them and leaves. Didn't use any patterns, I just made shapes as went along. So that's one I've done before. So that's not a Christmassy one, that's a spring one. So you can see inside that there's nothing special bought, but it does work out if you just cover it in fabrics and things. So that's the first one. I'm going to put that down there a minute. I'm going to close this blind because the sun's on me. That's better. So what I'm using today, because I haven't got a lid this time, is just cardboard. So here I've cut out the shape and the size that I want, so it's quite flimsy at the moment, although it does make it quite light for hanging and up, so it makes it easy to hang. So you haven't got anything heavy, depending on where you want to hang it, that might be a benefit. So cardboard, use a plate or something as a template to cut that out, and then you can either use scrap fabrics. If you've got lots of those, you could use old tights to wind around it because what we're doing is we're padding out the shape then. You can use wool if you've got some wool that you're not using, but that would be more expensive to use that. But if you've got something you're just going to throw out of that you don't want, you could use that. And you could use that as the basis if you wanted. If you'd got a colour that was Christmassy, you could just wind it in that. But what I'm going to show you is, if you've got old packaging materials like this, so plastic bags, so you can cut them up into strips and then just wind it around and you just keep going and then take that when you get to the end and you can scrunch that into place. You can use old wrapping paper, anything like that, but I think the plastic bags work well if you've got old packaging and plastic bags, because they make a good deep shape. You can make them quite full. So if you fold them up a few times and then wind them round, or things like tights and scrap fabrics, and you just build it up as you go around until you've got the shape that you want. And then when we've done that, then we're going to cover it in the fabrics. So that's your basis, and that won't cost you any money if you do it this way. I'm going to show you a little mock-up. Now don't laugh at this, because this is just very quick yesterday, just to get an idea of what colour fabrics I wanted to use, because as you can see I've got out my scrap Christmas fabrics from last year that I've used for different things. Actually the year before, so 2 years running I've done things with those. So I did, when we had the pandemic on, I did lots of Christmas masks, and then last year I made some buntins and also some fabric gift bags, and I'll be doing some more of those in another video in a few days time. So I did a little one just to show you. Cover it in the Christmas fabric. We're going to make a bow for the top, or you can do if you want. I'm going to make some holly, and that can be either fabric or paper, and use beads. And then we're going to use, I've got beads on here, some baubles if you've got some baubles you want to add, and maybe a fabric poinsettia, and anything else that you want to add to it really. You don't need to cover it the whole way around. You can just do sort of one section around this side and then just dot a few bits in here and there, and any sort of Christmas crafty bits that you want to add to it. So I just did that mini one just to get an idea of what colours I wanted to do mine. So I'm going to start winding the fabric around the main frame now, and the plastic, so I'm going to do that first of all. Something else that I forgot to mention is you can add on pine cones if you've collected some of those, because they can look quite nice. You can also add natural things in with the fabric if you want. Now I had collected some of these, and my dog's barking. I couldn't find where I've put them, so what I've done out of faux leather is I've made some. So I'll show you how to do those in a minute also, so the different sizes. Now, they're very crude. They're not completely authentic, but I think they look okay. So I'll show you that in a minute as well. Don't worry too much about what it looks like at this point. The idea is that you just want a padded sort of wreath shape to cover, because we're going to cover it now. So I've got my fabric, and I've got mine in longish strips. Now if you've got smaller strips, what you can do is you can just stitch them together. Now you don't have to do it all in one colour if you've got all oddments. So if you haven't got Christmas fabric, you could just do it any colour really, it doesn't really matter. That could go with your colour scheme that you've got at home for Christmas. Or what you could do is, if you've got lots of different bits like this, you could stitch them all together and you could have it going all the way around in different colours. They also don't need to be stitched together, you can just overlap as you wrap them round. So what I'm going to do is just turn in the edges so there's no raw edges, like this. So they're just turned in like that. And then I'm just going to start winding it. So I'll bring you in closer so you can see. So if you start about here, and then bring it all through, fold your edge in like this, and bring it around. Push it through the centre. And then just each time as you overlap it, just make sure that you fold it over like that so you've got the raw edge on the inside. I'll get rid of that cotton there. Where's that come from? So wind it through like that. And keep going the whole way around. I'm going to just secure that bit there. You can just tuck that in. I'm going to get another piece. And now as I've got to the end here, I'm folding both sides in like this. And I'm going to tuck it under and secure at the back. You can either do that with needle and thread or a pin if you're not really into sewing and you're just making this, because this doesn't require a lot of sewing if you don't want it to. You can just be wrapping and decorating it with things you've got. So you can pin it or you can stitch it at the back here. So now it looks like this, and if you find you've got any areas that are a bit thicker than others, you can manipulate it a little bit because you've got that padding on the inside. So it looks like this, and then now we're going to make a bow for the top if you wish. Now you can buy a bow, you can tie a bow, or you can make one. Now sometimes they look neater if you make them. Got company again. So you can just make it with rectangles and cinch it together with a little rectangle in the middle, and then just make your 2 strips for either side, or you can tie it. So that's up to you how you're going to do that. So I'll show you both ways. So let's decide how big we want it. Let's see. This sort of size? I think that's about right, isn't it? Let's bring you in. So I've got my fabric. I'm going to turn both sides in, turn this side in, on this side, so what we need to do is we need to stitch that turn that through. So we have it like this. Then we cut another strip, fold the edges in. We're going to cinch that in at the middle. Like this. Now this is if you're not tying a bow. So I'm going to do this neatly and show you, because it's quite hard to hold it up and show it like this. So if you cinch in at that centre seam that you've just created like this, I'm going to be wrapping around with this bit here. So you can put a few stitches to hold that in place first of all, so it's a bit like a dicky bow. I'm just going to cut that again because that's a bit raggy at the bottom of there. Secure that. So I've just secured that with some stitches now. But again, if you're not big on sewing, you could just pin it on at the back. Everything can be pinned onto this. Because you've got this padding, it's quite easy to pin things to it. Right, so to make some fabric holly, here I've used faux leather and I've just cut it out and that doesn't fray. So you could also use felt and just cut it out, and you don't need to stitch those at all. You could just cut the shapes out. Otherwise, you can do applique. So I've got satin fabric here or lining fabric, and I've also got some more fabric on the back. So again, you can use felt or anything stiff, like this is faux leather. You need it on. I've got about a number 3 width, a zigzag stitch, and I've made the stitch length shorter as well. Draw it on some fabric and then stitch around it like this. So you can do them like this, or you can just cut them out of felt or a fabric that doesn't fray. You can just cut them out freehand also. If you're not sure about this, just get a template. You can find them online. or just play around with drawing it first. So I've got some little red beads, so I've put my holly on and now I'm adding the beads. Right, so a few more bits that I'm adding to it. So here it is with my holly and my bead berries on. And then I'm doing these. Now this is sort of lining fabric, so you can use felt, again faux leather, any fabric really, but this has got a bit of a sheen to it. I'm using this because this is a green that I want to use, and this is the only piece I've got. Felt would probably be better because you're not going to fray everywhere. This will probably fray over time. So I'm going to show you how I did these kind of leaves, and also how I made the little faux pine cones. So you can use real ones if you've got them, but if you haven't, I'll show you how to make these. You can make these out of felt again, or any brown fabric that you have. This is faux leather. I've just got a bit left over from bag making. Unfortunately, I found I can't get this particular one anymore, which is a shame because I've only got a small amount left. So I'm using up scraps at the minute, and I've got a bit left, possibly to do the part of one more bag, but then after that I'm going to have to use something different. So I'll show you how to do it out of this. So what we need a strip. So I'm going to cut a strip off here. This will be too accurate to begin with. So we've got a long strip like this. And then what I'm going to do is just cut into it. So if you start off right at the top like this, so it's taller, and you're going to do about 3 that sort of size. So like this, and then I'm going to do that one a bit narrower actually, that's a bit deep. They're gradually going to get shorter, and you're going to do 3 of each size as they gradually get smaller, like this. So cutting into it, 3 of each one, and gradually getting smaller. Now you don't want to go the full length of this strip because I've cut that rather long, but you'll know because you can roll it up and test it. So I'm going to keep going. So here we have our strip. You're going to roll it up with the tallest one on the inside. Keep it tight. So it's like this, I've got a hair there. And then this bottom bit, you're going to stitch it together. Now you do want to put a pin through when you get to the bottom, just to keep it all together. Just push a pin straight through it like that. And then this bottom bit, we want to round it off. So we're going to stitch from side to side, front to back, and across, and pull it in so it's like a gathering stitch to bring that in rounded. So I'll show you on the one I've done. So the bottom then becomes sort of rounded where you've stitched it. Take that pin out now. Now these, we need to cut a point at the top, so I've got it folded double. So I'm cutting 2 out at once. And then I'm just cutting notches into it. So that top one I'm going to need to make a point again. Going towards the centre. You're taking out little V's like this. And if you find that any are a bit squared off at the top, you can always cut them again after. apologise for lighting, it's a bit rubbish in here at the moment because it is dark out, but I'll show you what I've got on now. So I've got my cones and my leaves on here, my holly, and then now I'm making some little packages like this. So it's just fabric wrapped around cardboard and a little bit of string. So I've got coloured string, but you could use your regular string. Got some fabric scraps, and all I've done is it's just layers of cardboard cut into little squares and placed on top of each other, so you don't need boxes. So all I'm going to do is just wrap it like you would a parcel and wrap it in string. So the wreath is all finished now, so I'll show you what I finished putting on it. So here it is done. So I found these yesterday when I was out shopping. These were just £1 for 12, so these are little bells. So I've bought these. These are the only things I've bought. These are the parcels that I made. The cones and the leaves and the holly, these are beads. And the only other thing is these sort of star sequins that I already had. So I've added those, and I think that's enough. So you can put as much on it as you want, really. It's entirely up to you how much you fill it out, but I think that is just enough for mine. And I'm really happy with that, so I hope that's helped you. So I hope that was useful. So if you haven't seen that before, please let me know if you give it a try, because it's just a really great way to make a Christmas decoration and just not buy any new bits, just use what you have. You don't even have to use Christmassy fabric. If you've got those kind of Christmassy colours, you can just do it all in solids. So do let me know in the comments if you use it. Now, a couple of things. So I've been back into bag making recently. I made one for my friend on when it was her birthday, and she'd had a request for a very specific kind, so I bought the fabrics for that. I didn't share it at the time because I didn't want her seeing it, because she does sometimes watch. But I will pop a picture of that in so you can have a little look at that. And then also for work, I've done a couple of backpacks. So they were really fun to make. A little bit harder going on my machine though, because I had to sew through the webbing and so on, and there's quite a few layers where when I make bags myself I try to make sure that it's not too thick in certain areas, or I hand stitch it. So the ones I've done for work, I've had to follow them to the letter on the pattern, and in some areas they were really quite thick. So I've done those and I've enjoyed making them. I'll not share them right now because obviously they're work projects, but I will share them at a later date when I can. And then also, I bought this fabric a while ago and I've not done anything with it because I've been that busy. So I'm going to be working on this soon. I did buy it sort of autumny colours, and now we're going into winter, but it's got sort of cacti all over it. So it's really pretty. It's this red colour with a bit of orange and brown. I think that looks really nice. So I'm going to have a little think about what to do with that. So it is going to be a top or a blouse of some description. I had thought a blouse. If you've got any ideas, let me know, but I've got a few thoughts of my own, and I had thought about hacking a dress that I made recently and just doing the top part of it and not the skirt, so that it was more of a blouse and it could be worn with my jeans, because I really loved the dress. So I will share that with you in a coming video. And if you've got any particular things that you think could go really well with this fabric, do let me know. I just love the colours, and I know we're coming out of autumn, but red's still Christmassy, so it'll be fine. Now, I know a few of you will be joining in with the gifting November challenge. I'm not really making a lot of Christmas gifts this year. I tend to do something for my husband. I did last year. I have done things for my friends in the past. We don't have a huge list of people that we buy for. We do keep it pretty small. And although I've made lots of bags and things in the past, I don't want to keep giving people bags all the time. And I made my friend a blouse, I think it was last year or the year before. So I know people do like to do that. So I'll be watching out for what everybody else is making. I do tend to make some Christmas cards, and I do like to do the fabric wrapping as well where I can. So making the gift bags is always great because it saves on wrapping paper and then people can reuse them. So I did share some of these last year. If you've not seen that and you're interested in me doing some more, I will do that in the coming weeks. And I'll have a little think about some more Christmas makes that I can do for you and try and get them out pretty quickly, because we've not got long and we're in December, aren't we? So I'll be back soon with more sewing for you, more on this, and please let me know if there's anything in particular related to Christmas that you want to see, and I'll try and get on it as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.